Hi and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. Today we are here with a slightly different video and a different kind of vlog. As you can see, I have some books falling over on the bed next to me. But today is the start of a vlog that I've wanted to do for quite a long time now. This has been in the back of my head for quite a while, but I want to do an Agatha Christie reading vlog, but with a twist. Basically, I have this collection, which I don't think I can hold all in one go, but I think I have 19 or 20 maybe, I think I own. And it is the beautiful Agatha Christie kind of collector's edition hardback cloth bound editions. And I say beautiful though, like they're doing that classic thing cloth bounds do where they're wearing on the back, which is annoying. But anyway, I really love these editions and I started collecting them quite a while ago, but I started reading them. So I kind of wanted to get into Agatha Christie for a long time. I've always obviously known about her and also kind of have a bit of a personal connection to the place that she was born. So I guess it's kind of cool that I have that knowledge and like I've seen places that she used to visit. There is a video like on my channel quite a while ago, a couple of years ago, where I talk about the Agatha Christie Mile in Torquay and like places she used to go. And I was reading one of the books. I think I was reading, which one was it that I was reading at the time? The ABC Murders, maybe? Is that one of them? This is a whole mess. Oh, it's right next to me. It's the one I literally just held up. I think I was reading the ABC Murders in that video. But anyway, I'm already going off on a tangent. My friend Alex also really likes Agatha Christie, so I've kind of always wanted to get into Agatha Christie because she's always talked about how much she likes Agatha Christie books, and there's just obviously that cozy crime element of like, it's nice to have that kind of collection on your shelf sometimes if that's what you want to reach for. I think, if I remember rightly, I have 9 books that I haven't read. I will split these down and actually show you in a minute like what I've read, what I haven't read, what we're going to do in this video. But yeah, my idea for a while is that these are taking up quite a lot of space on my shelves and I'm not loving them like I wanted to. All of them that I've read, I don't know if I've rated one higher than 3, maybe 3.5 stars. If I've rated one 4, I was being generous, like from memory. I don't think I've enjoyed one that much. There's elements of them that I like reading. Oh, it sounds silly, like I enjoy the cozy atmosphere of reading them, but I look back on reading a lot of these and I never remember a lot. I struggle to follow audiobooks if I listen to the audio, and I just don't get that much enjoyment out of them. I'm sorry, Alex, I've told her this in person, but I still feel mean. But anyway, I did just take a little break and count how many I've read, how many I haven't read, actually look at the collection as a whole. I also want to say one of my big motivations for doing this, and what I actually want to come out of this, is the fact that these have been released over a very long period of time. I think they come out with like a couple every few months, or I can't even remember because I haven't actually followed it for a long time now. Started collecting these maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I stopped collecting them a couple of years ago, I would say, or maybe like a year or so ago, last year sometime. Mainly, not totally because, but mainly because here's the old editions, right? They randomly started making them small, and I think all of them are small now, and like that's the size difference. It's like probably a good centimetre size difference. Why? Why would you do this partway through? And are they going to reproduce the old ones in the new small size? The whole thing is just so, I don't know, so random. In some ways, in most ways, I actually prefer the small hardbacks. I think they just fit better on shelves, and these big ones are kind of an awkward size. However, I got to a point where I was like, I need to know whether I'm willing to put the money in to recollecting all of these so I have a coherent set. Because for me, if I'm collecting something like this, and I would say the same for most people, if you're collecting a set that is matching, that's special hardcover editions, you want them to match. You want them to look nice on a shelf. So what possessed them to change the size partway through doing this? I don't know. I also believe they haven't been releasing them in like order of release. A lot of them obviously fall into the Poirot series or the Miss Marple series. Not that I think a lot of people read them in order, but if you were going to display them in order, you'd probably also get like a mismatch of sizes. I don't know, I haven't looked that deep, but it's just so annoying. Why? But anyway, I was then obviously faced with a dilemma of like, do I want to recollect them if they're going to do them in these small editions, and do I want to continue buying them if they're doing them in these small editions? I think the fact that I only have 2 of them in the small editions is answer enough. I don't even know why I have 2. I think maybe I had this one on pre-order. I cannot remember. But anyway, the whole thing just annoyed me so much. I don't think I've even read one since then. And I guess it just did force me to take a hard look and go, why are you still buying these? You're not even enjoying reading them that much. And that kind of leads us to where we are today. So this year I have been trying to get my physical TBR down. It has reached catastrophic heights of like 250 plus books. I'm now on like 230 something. But looking at my collection of books, I'm like, do I actually want to spend the time reading all of the ones I haven't read yet? Am I going to keep the set at the end of it? All of these questions just going around in my head. So that brings me to this series where I have decided that out of the 10 unread editions I own, I'm going to read 3 of them and decide what I do based on my enjoyment of those 3. Partly because I thought this would be a fun challenge and a fun vlog, but also partly because there are still some books in that stack, the unread copies, that I would really like to read. They're her prolific works, they're her biggest works, and I want to try them out. So I definitely know 2 of them that I want to read, I would say, and then I'm struggling on picking the 3rd one, so we'll discuss that in a minute. But of the ones I've actually read, the stack is here, so I've read actually only 7 of them. I think I'm slightly unbalanced. Is there definitely not another one I've read? Okay, no, it's fine, it's fine. I'm just confusing myself. I have 7 books that I've read. I have 9 on my TBR because I'm currently reading one of them. It's making sense. Anyway, these are the 7 that I have actually read. So I've read The Mysterious Affair at Styles, I've read the ABC Murders, as I said. I've read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which I think is maybe Poirot 1. Or Miss Marple 1. Like who knows? It's Poirot 4. That means maybe The Mysterious Affair at Styles is the first one. Yeah, that's Poirot 1. I've read The Adventures of the Christmas Pudding, I read Poirot's Christmas, I've read Midwinter Murder and Sinister Spring. There is a seasonal collection of short stories for each season. I've read 2 of them, and then I have Summer and Autumn still on my TBR. But yes, I did have a look, and apparently I have rated a couple of these 4 stars quite early on, but I don't know. I'm looking on Storygraph and I don't know if that's my accurate rating, because that may have been transferred from Goodreads, where we could only do full star ratings and not half star ratings. I think if I'd had the option of Storygraph at the time, they would have probably been half star ratings. But yeah, out of all of them, most of them were 3.5 stars. A couple of them were 4s, but I don't think I would be rating them 4 if I was reading them now and was using Storygraph. Then on my TBR, we have the 2 offending short ones. Dead Man's Folly and Hallowe'en Party, which A Haunting in Venice was based on. Then we have The Mystery of the Blue Train, and then there were none. Death on the Nile, which is probably the chunkiest one here. The Tuesday Club Murders, 450 from Paddington, and then the Autumn Chills and Midsummer Murders. No, Midsummer Mysteries. So that is all of the books, apart from Murder on the Orient Express, which I am currently reading. I actually started this last night and 43 pages in. Really enjoying it so far, funnily enough. Which is all part of the experiment. So what we're going to achieve in this video, I'm going to read 3. There's a possibility it'll be 4, but I think I'm going to go for 3 Agatha Christie books that I've not yet read from this TBR pile. If I really, really enjoy them, we reconsider at the end of this video, do I want to start collecting it again? Do I want to pare down my collection and then only get the ones that I'm really interested in? Maybe there'll be a decision there. If I continue in the same vein, and I think you'll know, I think you can tell like what I think is going to happen here. If I continue in the same vein and I don't really rate them higher than like 3.5 stars, I'm just gonna unhaul the lot. Like, I don't feel like I need these on my shelves anymore. So in reality, I think we're really looking at one of 2 options. I don't think there's a possibility where I'm keeping the entire set. Like, I would have to get some real enjoyment out of these books for me to like consider keeping everything I have. I think really we're either going to pare it down or we're going to unhaul everything. What I want to happen, to be completely honest, is to unhaul everything. As I said, I think these are really awkward sizes. They take up most of a shelf and I don't need that space. Like, particularly I have spare shelves right now, but only for paperbacks, which is another reason that it would be cool to unhaul these, because it does free up like awkward shelf space for slightly bigger paperbacks and smaller hardbacks. But anyway, we will see what happens. Which brings me on to the next thing of deciding which ones I'm actually going to read. I have a pretty good idea. So as I've already said, like Murder on the Orient Express is obviously one of them. The 2 short story collections I am not bothered about reading. I don't think there's going to be much coming out of that I haven't read in other short story collections, and there's a few in there. Hallowe'en Party, I think might also be short stories. I cannot remember. It probably isn't actually, because the film is based on this, but anyway, I don't think I'm really bothered about reading this, even though it's Halloween next week, so it'd be a good time. We'll see. Dead Man's Folly, I'm not particularly interested. I don't know a lot about these, so maybe I should look, but Tuesday Club Murders I am not too bothered about. And then Mystery on the Blue Train, I think I'm okay. So I'm going to put Hallowe'en Party on the top, just in case, you know, I really speed through these and I do feel like picking that up at this time of the year. But that pares it down to 4 books. So we have Murder on the Orient Express, which I really want to read, and then 3 others. And I said I was going to read 3 in this series, so I need to cull one of these off, but I just cannot decide. So naturally, if we're looking at her big prolific works, obviously Murder on the Orient Express is one of them. I should be reading And Then There Were None and Death on the Nile as my others, and that is what I'm tempted to do. Death on the Nile is 328, so it's still not a long book. I think it's just longer than some of her others. And Then There Were None is only 226-ish, 225-ish. I think I probably will read And Then There Were None, especially as it's only so short, and I don't know a lot about this book at all, to be honest. But it says on the back, we're not going to leave the island, none of us will ever leave. It's the end, you see, the end of everything. There's no synopsises in these. That's fun, I don't think. Okay, so it's a collection of 10 curious assortment of strangers. They're summoned as weekend guests to a private island off the coast of Devon. Their host is an eccentric millionaire, unknown to all of them, and is nowhere to be found. All that the guests have in common is a wicked past that they're unwilling to reveal, and a secret that will seal their fate. For each has been marked for murder. One by one they fall prey. Before the weekend is out, there will be none, and only the dead are above suspicion. Okay, interesting, because the book I've just read, The Ending Writes Itself, which comes out in April next year, I think, sounds heavily inspired by this concept. But yeah, I think I will put that in the pile. So then it comes to Death on the Nile or 450 from Paddington, mainly because if there's any I actually want to read, I don't know why 450 from Paddington is that book that I'm just kind of drawn to. I like a train. And I'm really enjoying Murder on the Orient Express, although this has been like in the back of my head for a while that I've actually quite wanted to read this one. It's only 240 pages. I think Death on the Nile is obviously set on a boat on the Nile, so kind of your similar closed, a lot of these are kind of like, what's the word, like closed door mysteries? Is that a thing? Where you're all locked in a house or all on a train or all on a boat, you know, whatever, you're like contained. Death on the Nile. The tranquility of a cruiser on the Nile is shattered by the discovery that Lynette Ridgway, what a name, has been shot through the head. She was young, stylish, beautiful, a girl who had everything until she lost her life. Poirot recalls an earlier outburst by a fellow passenger. I'd like to put my dear little pistol against her head and press the trigger. What a sentence. Yet in this exotic setting, nothing is ever quite as it seems. I'm interested if everything I'm reading here is Poirot, because it would actually be nice to read something that's Miss Marple. And then There Were None actually is not listed as either, so I'm not sure if that is a genuine kind of standalone. 450 from Paddington is Miss Marple. Don't know, I really don't know. Maybe we'll end up reading 4. Also, like, I stand by the fact that if you unhaul a book, it doesn't mean it's gone from your life forever. Like, if I did end up unhauling all of these and I ended up reading them again in the future, coming across them, borrowing from the library, listening to the audiobook, you know, any one of those things, that's always an option. Like, the books are not going away in a hurry. They've been with us for a long time and I don't think they're about to leave, so there's always the option of not saying goodbye forever to these books if I do end up unhauling them. But tentative TBR, right now I'm kind of settling on 4, to be honest. We've got Murder on the Orient Express that I'm already 40 pages into, and then I think I'm just going to put all of these on because I do want to read something that's Miss Marple related. So we've got And Then There Were None, 450 from Paddington, and Death on the Nile. I will also start probably with And Then There Were None and just see if that is a Miss Marple. I really don't think it is. I think it's, if anything, I think it's like a standalone from them. Oh, they nearly fell off the bed. And then I think it's unlikely that I'll get to Hallowe'en Party, especially because I'm settling on 4. But the option's always there if I really feel like it. So anyway, welcome to the start of this video. I'm currently reading Murder on the Orient Express, as I've said several times. We're going to read these books and then we're going to decide what to do about all of the books behind me, which would leave me with 6 unread books and 11? Yeah, 11 that I've read at the end of it, so there we go. We'll see how this goes. Thank you for joining me for this vlog. I hope you enjoy it as we go on, and I will see you shortly with an update for Murder on the Orient Express. Hello everyone, I have actually finished 2 books since I last spoke to you. I have finished Murder on the Orient Express and then I actually went straight on to read And Then There Were None, which I have just finished, which is exciting. I would say I enjoyed both of them. I definitely think I enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express more, even though I knew what was coming because I'd seen the film, the 2019 version of the film. But I did still enjoy this. I love the atmosphere of it. I love the setting of like the train and stuff. I think it's so clever. I liked how this was actually laid out in terms of Poirot interviewing everybody on the train, and I thought that was really interesting, and I actually found this quite enthralling as well, even though I knew what was going to happen, which I found really interesting. I think because the chapters were quite short and because it was in that interview like style where you were jumping from one character to another, I actually found it quite compelling. It's obviously hard to tell, like hard to say how I would have reacted if, or like what I would have thought of the ending if I didn't know what was coming, so that is a real shame. But I must say I did actually really enjoy this and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I jumped on to And Then There Were None, as I said, which I have only just finished. I enjoyed this one too, but I definitely think I enjoyed this less, and I wonder how much of that is because we're not following an investigation as such. We're following the characters as they go through what is happening to them on this island. So there's 10 of them on this island. They're in this big old house on this island. They think they're alone, and then one by one they keep dying, and it seems to be in accordance with this like nursery rhyme. And I must say, like, I did like the concept of this, and I thought it was original and interesting, and I liked the setting of it as well. Obviously something Agatha Christie does is these like closed, I've forgotten what they're called, like locked room, or you know, like the setting is completely isolated, like it's a locked door mystery, maybe it's called. I can't remember, to be honest, but yeah, I enjoyed that. I did find it compelling as well, but it took me a lot longer to get into. I just did not have the motivation to read this before about 100 to 150 pages in. And then I did actually kind of, probably about from 100 pages onwards, I've read it in a couple of days, if not like 24 hours. So yeah, I did enjoy it, but I can't say I was that surprised by the ending. I didn't anticipate it. I didn't know what was coming at all. I didn't make any guesses on who the murderer was, but I feel like, I think this is probably more of a me problem. I feel like often I don't really care, and I think that actually I can say that about most crime or thriller books. I feel like it takes a lot for me to have a connection with the characters and also want to find out who the murderer is and be surprised when they reveal the murderer, because I just don't care a lot of the time. I don't know. I guess in a book like this as well, where there's 10 of them, it's hard for me to become empathetic to the characters because you don't really know them. There's 10 of them. And I think I could say the same for a lot of Agatha Christie books, to be honest, because Murder on the Orient Express was very similar. So yeah, I would say I would give And Then There Were None 3 stars, which is a shame because I've heard such good things about this. And I think I said, like, my friend who really likes Agatha Christie, Alex, when I said I was going to read And Then There Were None, she was like, oh, I love And Then There Were None, and so does her fiance as well. So I feel like, for me personally, I'm sad that this hasn't like lived up to the hype. My next read is going to be Death on the Nile, which I am excited for and intrigued to find out what this one's like. This is the longest of the books I've got on my TBR, so it's 320 pages. These are both about 240, so quite short, so it's going to be interesting. It feels thicker. I can tell it's got that extra 80 pages in there, but yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this one goes. I honestly don't really know much about it other than the fact it is obviously set on a boat on the Nile. I'm also not sure if this is a Poirot or Miss Marple or neither. It's a Poirot. Okay, interesting. Well, I enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express, and that's a Poirot. I feel like I prefer following one of the investigators rather than like And Then There Were None, where there was nobody investigating it really. So yeah, I am going to start this one probably tonight, and obviously I anticipate it will take me slightly longer because it is longer. So I'm going to read this one, and then I will make a decision on whether I want to read 350 from Paddington still, 450 from Paddington still. I think I will because of the Miss Marple aspect of it, but I think coming off the... If I'd have said at the end of Murder on the Orient Express, I would have like said that I would read all of them. I think just coming off the back of And Then There Were None, when I didn't enjoy it as much, I want to just say like, I'm done here. But I definitely want to read at least Death on the Nile, and then I will make a decision on 450 from Paddington. So yeah, that's where I am right now, and I will catch up with you when I've finished Death on the Nile, and then we'll see where we go from there. everyone, and welcome to the end of this vlog. I did not realise that my voice sounded so weak, but apparently it does. You will have to bear with me. It's been a weird few days. I'm actually not very well. Surprise, surprise. I actually haven't had like a cold or anything. I've been really like violently sick, which I don't think I've ever experienced quite like I have in the past few days in my entire life. I even asked my mom if she remembers me ever being that sick as a kid, and she said no. I think, to be honest, I've had food poisoning, which is unlikely as a vegan, but I think I just ate something that I don't normally eat that doesn't agree with me. And my mom has actually had the same reaction before to like corn, like meat supplements that have textured vegetable protein in. I've never had a reaction like that to like corn or meat replacements, but what I ate is a meat replacement that I don't normally eat, and I was violently ill. And I think there was also some problem with reheating in there. We're usually really careful and aware of things like that, especially like rice, which is the last thing that made me sick. But yeah, anyway, I don't want to go into it too much because it's gross. But yeah, I've been ill the past few days in a way that I don't think I ever have in my entire life. And luckily it's only like yesterday I was really bad. I didn't get out of bed the entire day. Today I've been better, and I've actually managed to read today. I couldn't read yesterday. I couldn't focus on anything at all. I was falling asleep most of the day, like randomly falling asleep. The only thing I could do was like watch TV, to be honest. I did not eat a single thing, like a single thing yesterday at all. I have managed to have 2 slices of toast today and a banana, and it's currently like gone 4 p.m. That's all I've eaten today, but I haven't been sick again, so that's a good sign. But I have managed to read, so I actually have a big reading update for you, and I'm also going to end this vlog because I've read all of the books that I set out to read for this video. So I realised that I just watched back my clip that I filmed before this one, and realised I haven't updated you since I finished Death on the Nile. I actually haven't updated you since I started Death on the Nile, but I actually have finished this now. I read this in one day. I finished it on Saturday, so I started it on maybe Friday night, I think, but I just like read like 1 chapter and I finished it on Saturday. Mainly helped by the fact that I listened to the audiobook for part of the book. I kept picking it up physically and switching to the audiobook for a bit and then picking it up physically again until I finished it. I read it incredibly quickly considering it's the longest book that I had on this DBR, but that was definitely massively helped by the audiobook, which is read by Kenneth, is it Branagh? I can't remember, but he plays Poirot in the adaptations. I've not actually seen the film adaptation of Death on the Nile. I have of Murder on the Orient Express, which I think I mentioned before in this vlog, but yeah, it's read by him, which I really liked his narration style, and I felt like it kept me quite engaged throughout. But I don't know if it's because of the fact I listened to the audiobook or just maybe because this is longer, or I don't really know, but I didn't find this one as compelling as some of the other books I've read. And to be honest, I didn't enjoy it all that much. I definitely have a bit of like a divide in this vlog with the 4 books that I've read. This is one that didn't keep my attention as much, and as I've mentioned before, I think I just find myself often not caring enough about the characters to care about the outcome of the books in general and who the murderer was, which is like the whole point of the story. And I guess that's something I've just kind of realised as I've read the different Agatha Christie books in this vlog. But anyway, I finished this one the other day and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't guess who the murderer was, but to be honest, I never really do. I did have a little bit of a guess for the next book that I'll talk about, but I did not get that correct. But yeah, this one I gave 3 out of 5 stars overall, and then I very quickly moved on to my last book, which is 450 from Paddington, which I finished today. So it's taken me a couple of days to read, mainly because I have been so ill. I actually read the first like chapter of this the other day, then I got ill. I didn't read at all for a couple of days because of work and then being sick, and then I started this on page 17 this morning and I've read the entire thing, which is like 220 pages, because the whole book is like 240, so yeah, I've read like 220 pages of this today, and I think it's probably my favourite of the vlog, which is interesting because it's the only Miss Marple one in here, and I did say that I had an idea that I might enjoy the Miss Marple one more, and I definitely did. I will say, I think for the fact this is one of the shorter books on this TBR, it does feel like a bit of a slog in places. I don't know why. Maybe that's because I read that all in one go. I don't know if it's because I read it like all in one go that I felt like it was a bit of a slog, or just not quite as engaging as Murder on the Orient Express or And Then There Were None. But I did really like this one. I think what I liked about this one, and what was different about this one, is the characters in here, because we are following a family and we also follow Miss Marple quite closely, and we follow somebody who's like between Miss Marple and this family, and I quite enjoyed the character aspect of this. I think it was really interesting to follow some central characters, including this family. I think that made me more engaged with the story somehow. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, which I guess does put me on a bit of a fence with the decision I make next, because yeah, I did enjoy this. I think overall I found that I think I prefer Miss Marple, although I don't think I've read enough of Poirot or Miss Marple, or neither, to properly make that decision, but I do feel like I would enjoy Miss Marple books more than I would enjoy reading more Poirot. But the other thing I think I found is that I really like when they're written in a what's the word, like an organised kind of like with Murder on the Orient Express, what I really liked about it is that we were following Poirot as he actively investigates the murder, and you're in an enclosed space on this train, and the chapters are broken down into him investigating and interviewing every single passenger on the train. And I think that's what I found so engaging about this one, is it was so sequential, that you were just following him going from one character to another, and that's what kept me so gripped. I did actually find And Then There Were None quite engaging as well, even though I rated it less stars. I gave this one 3 stars because I cared about it less, and I didn't really care about the characters, but I did find it engaging, and I think that might be because this one also has quite a sequential storyline. So I think what I found is that I like a sequential storyline, if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. It's broken down into like a proper sequence, basically. And the short chapters I think help as well. I definitely found that as 450 from Paddington went on, the chapters were really short at the end of this, and it definitely made me want to carry on reading this one. So I definitely find the chapters and the sequence really helped with my enjoyment there, and the characterization as well. So yeah, 2 things I kind of want to discuss, or like maybe 3. First thing is, I definitely think we have a divide between these 2, which I really enjoyed. Don't think that's something to do with trains, but you know, there's a theme. And there's these 2, which I did not enjoy very much. And I think one of the other interesting things here is that I definitely chose some of Agatha Christie's most popular and highest rated books to read in this challenge, and the fact that I enjoyed these 2 more than these 2 I think is really interesting, because these are definitely some of her most famous books ever, most well-known books ever, and I'm not saying that these aren't, especially Murder on the Orient Express, but I would probably say that 450 from Paddington is not one of her more famous ones, and I think it's really interesting that these came out on top and these 2 really fell flat for me in comparison. I was also looking at like the average ratings of them, and Then There Were None is the highest average rating, and that is 4.27, followed by The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which I rated 4 stars at the time, would probably say that I'd rate 3 now. That's 4.26. Then we have Murder on the Orient Express at 4.2, which I would say I agree with, I rated 4. Then we have Death on the Nile at 4.12, which I rated 3, followed by the ABC Murders, which I apparently rated 4 at the time. I did quite enjoy that one from memory. That's 4.03. The Mysterious Affair at Styles, which again I rated 4 at the time, I would probably rate 3 now, and that's 4 on the dot. Poirot's Christmas, I was in at 3.98. I apparently rated that 4 at the time. I definitely think that's a 3. And then I will stop this, I won't go through all of the ones that I own, but 450 from Paddington is next at 3.97, which I would rate this one 4. So it's interesting just to have a bit of a comparison between what other people think of those books and what I thought of those books. But you know, the other thing we're here to discuss is, what does this mean for me and my journey with Agatha Christie and my collection? And obviously that's the whole point of this video, that's what this experiment has been all about. And I don't think it will come as a shock to anybody that I am definitely going to be unhauling my Agatha Christie collection. Obviously, yes, I put a little bit on the fence by the fact that I rated 2 of these books 4 stars and 2 of these books 3 stars. It does put me a bit in the middle of my enjoyment of Agatha Christie books. If I rated them all 4 stars, then I definitely feel like they're more of a solid contender to actually stay in my collection. I feel like a solid 4 star, like something doesn't have to be 5 stars to stay on my shelves, because 4 stars can just, sometimes they can come at you in like a very specific time. Like if you are looking for a cozy crime book, cozy classic crime, I would highly recommend Agatha Christie. Obviously, yes, I will know going forward that if I want to recommend a specific Agatha Christie, I know the ones that I did enjoy and the ones that I didn't enjoy so much. I definitely think they have a space to read and in the world. I think, you know, they've earned their place in the world and their popularity, and she obviously is the queen of cozy classic crime fiction. But it's been a really interesting experiment to see where my feelings fall with her books in particular. So we are now left with quite a big stack that I have actually read. These are so slippy when they're like together. The texture of the covers just like slide. But yeah, I actually have quite a big stack that I've read. I have this stack which I've already read, because of the ones that I've read the past few days. And then I don't think I'm going to get all of these in one stack, especially because they are so slippy. Just so you can see how many I actually own. But where does this cut off? There, these are the ones that I haven't read yet. So let's attempt to put these, oh no, they're sliding everywhere. Let's attempt to put these to the side, like that. These are the ones that I have yet to read. So we have Hallowe'en Party, Dead Man's Folly, Mystery of the Blue Train, Autumn Chills, Midsummer Mysteries, and the Tuesday Club Murders. So I guess, as I said, I think I said this earlier in the vlog, I kind of would have 3 choices at this point going forward. Do I keep my collection, do I unhaul my collection, or do I keep some of my collection and unhaul some of my collection? And that means for unread books and read books. And I did, once I finished 450 from Paddington. It's interesting that I obviously ended this one on a high. If I'd finished this on a 3-star book, would I be feeling different now? I don't know. But ending this one on a high, I am still coming to the conclusion of unhauling my entire collection. But before I did that, I did actually check and look through the rest of the books I own that I haven't read yet, just to see if there was any that I would be interested in keeping. So I actually have 3 here that are short stories. So I think this one's short stories, but it is Miss Marple, which is interesting. It's only like 230 pages. But yeah, this one's Miss Marple but short stories. This one, Autumn Chills, is also short stories, a collection of Poirot, Miss Marple and Agatha Christie's other favourite detectives. Then we have Midsummer Mysteries, which is also short stories, I presume, of all of the detectives as well. I'm not 100% sure. These 2 I am definitely not interested in, I would say, because I have read other short story collections by Agatha Christie and they just don't really intrigue me all that much. And I would say the same about the Tuesday Club Murders, even though it's a Miss Marple. I just don't think I'm that interested in short stories. I would much rather pick up a full-length novel. And then, funnily enough, the other three I have, which are full-length novels, so The Mystery on the Blue Train, Dead Man's Folly and Hallowe'en Party, are all Poirot. So I would say if I'm going to pick up another Agatha Christie at this point, I would pick up a Miss Marple. So I think I'm kind of good with unhauling these, to be honest. As I said at the start, like, the one I would have been tempted to read is Hallowe'en Party, but Halloween has now passed, we're in November now, so I'm not feeling so bothered about that, to be honest. And obviously the size of these just irritates me so much that I think I'm quite comfortable with it unhauling them. As for the ones I already had read before this vlog, do I still want to unhaul them? I definitely think, I have an idea in my head, but we'll go through them one by one anyway. These are both short story collections, so I am good. Then we have a couple that, full-length novels, Mysterious at Ferret Styles, that I've already mentioned. I would probably rate 3 stars now. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, sorry I'm being lazy, hold it the right way up. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, I would probably rate 3 stars now. Poirot's Christmas, also a short story collection. The Adventures of the Christmas Pudding, also a short story collection. Just not bothered about them. Then ABC Murders is probably one I would be tempted to keep because this is the first one I read, I think. I'm just gonna have a look. Oh, can I change this to date read? Okay, no, actually Hercule Poirot's Christmas was the first one I read at the end of 2022, apparently. But then I read this one very shortly. Oh, Adventures of the Christmas Pudding, right, okay. Adventures of the Christmas Pudding on December 16th, 2022. Then, Poirot's Christmas, literally right after. Then this one in January, so this is the third one I read. It's the first full-length novel I read. And I did this one for a vlog where I was in Turkey, where Agatha Christie was born, and I was reading an Agatha Christie book, so this would probably be one that I'm tempted to keep because of the memory surrounding it, but to be honest, I think I've reached the conclusion that I'm okay with letting this go. Then we have the ones I read in this video, so And Then There Were None and Death on the Nile. Obviously it won't come with a shock that I am prepared to let these ones go. Those are the ones I rated lower. And then the conundrum is, do we want to keep either or both of these? To be honest, I don't know. I've been leaning this whole time towards only keeping Murder on the Orient Express, kind of as a token, just to keep one of her books, and also because I just love this edition, I love this cover, I love the font. I just think the design on this particular hardback is beautiful, and I did really enjoy it, and it's one of her classics as well. It's one of her most recognised. There used to be a paperback of Murder on the Orient Express that was like a ticket design that was really foiled, and I loved that, but I actually looked this morning and it seems to be out of print now. Maybe I could get a copy second hand, because I was tempted to replace this with a paperback copy that would fit into my collection better, because these hardbacks are just such awkward sizing. But to be honest, I think I'm leaning towards keeping this one and unhauling everything else. The one that then keeps me on the fence a bit is obviously 450 from Paddington, because I enjoyed it so much, but I'm just not as in love with the design of this cover as I am with Murder on the Orient Express. And because I know we shouldn't judge books by these covers, by their covers, I think it's fine because I've read them now. But these are going to be part of my collection, so I am judging them partly on their aesthetics as well. And I just don't enjoy this design as much as the other one. It's still quite good, I like it, but not as much as Murder on the Orient Express. So yeah, I'm hesitant over this, as you can probably tell, but I think I'm hesitant now, and I think if I left it a week or so I would be unhauling this anyway, because I'd have lost that attachment. Like, the fact I've just finished this today is what's making me hesitate. But if I left it a couple weeks longer, like, I would be unhauling this, I think the attachment would have gone. Because of that, I think I'm comfortable with the decision of unhauling this and the rest of my collection, and only keeping Murder on the Orient Express for now. There's a chance that this will go later down the line, as there is with all of my books, of course. For some reason I may unhaul them, but yeah, like, I think this is the one that's going to stay in my collection for now, partly because I just love the design of this, partly because I really enjoyed it. Anyway, that brings me to the end of this vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a different video, but I've really enjoyed it, and I've actually read these over the course of like maybe 1.5 weeks. Like, it's been a really quick turnaround for this. I've read all of these 4 Agatha Christie books, which I think I've knocked them out fairly quickly, and I'm really happy about that. I think it actually got me out of a bit of a slump that I've read them all so quickly. One of the other satisfying parts of this video is that I now will be able to take 6 unread books off my TBR, which is quite exciting considering it's so high. I will finally get into the 220s, I think, by doing that, which is cool. And I will obviously be unhauling all of these, and they will make space on my shelves. Not that I need that space, but it's nice to have, just because I feel like these were taking up space on my shelves because they're not something that I really knew in my heart that I wanted as part of my collection. But overall, I mean, we're taking 6 books off the TBR and we've read 4 in this video. That means there's 10 in this in this video that have actually been knocked off my TBR one way or another by reading or unhauling based on the challenge. So I'm quite happy with that. I think that's really satisfying. I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time. I'm glad that we finally made it here. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I should justify like what's going to happen to these books. I will be giving my friends first dibs, especially my friend Alex, because she loves Agatha Christie. I did give her a heads up that I might be unhauling my set, and she was like, please let me take a look first. So I will be giving her first dibs, and then I will consider what happens with the rest, if I try and sell them on Vinted or whatever, or if I give them to charity or whatever, if there's any left. So we will see. But yeah, I imagine that Alex will take as many as she wants, and I'm happy with that. I'd rather them go to somebody who really wants them as part of their collection. So yeah, I literally have books scattered all over the bed now, as you can probably see. They're all gonna go, and I think that's really satisfying, and I'm really happy with how this video has progressed and the kind of decisions I've made off the back of it. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye! Thank you.